Welcome back to another live post game of Rutgers hoops, and we'll be doing a full live podcast today. We'll be discussing the Rutgers 68-63 loss to Notre Dame today in Las Vegas. We'll also be covering everything Steve Pikiell has to say at his presser, and also everything that Greg Schiano said at his game week presser for Penn State today. Some big news coming out of the court system as well. It sounds like Jet Elad, as of right now at 3:36 p.m. on Tuesday, November 25th. He is currently no longer eligible to play college football due to the court proceedings. We'll get into that. We have our friend of the show and host of Night Watch, Larry Kay. He's actually a lawyer professionally, so we asked him for kind of what this injunction means, or whatever the proceeding was. He's going to give us the full breakdown as to what happened and what it means moving forward. But before we get into any of that, we'll shout out our sponsor, FanDuel. The line has not really moved for the game on Saturday. Rutgers is currently still at actually, it did move quite a bit. My mistake. Rutgers is now a 13.5-point underdog.
Yeah.
56.5 point over under. I got to be honest. My confidence is quite a bit lower than it was last week after seeing what Penn State looked like against Nebraska. Not saying I don't have any confidence that we can win, but we'll get into a full game breakdown tomorrow for you with a Penn State writer and give our predictions. But let's talk some hoops, guys. Rutgers lost again today in what was a largely non-competitive first half, but you got to give Rutgers credit. They did wake up with about 5 minutes left in the second half. I think they finished the half on a 7-0 run to cut the lead to 12. It was just a little bit of too little too late. Rutgers did win the second half again, so shout out to them for winning halves but not games. Richie, what were your thoughts watching this hoops game today? Because, I gotta admit, it's probably one of the more encouraging games of the season, but we did also lose to a bad Notre Dame team.
Yeah, you said it. Bad Notre Dame team. They're very streaky. Their shooting's either on or it's off. And in the first half, it was on. They were up double digits for the majority of the half. They were up 19 points with 2 minutes left. Rutgers did fight back at the end of the half. I think it was a 6-0 run, 7-0 run to cut it down to 12 at halftime. But that was pretty much the game right there, because the second half they did put together some nice runs. I think they had a couple 3-0, 5-0, 7-0 runs in the second half. They looked better, but those last couple minutes of play, I think someone just said in chat, this is basically what it looked like. It looked like a pickup game, and no one can hit a free throw. You hit free throws, and this game it could be in Rutgers' favor for all we know, actually. But there was just so many free throws late game between Buchanan, who, mind you, looked like he was a little banged up with his shoulder late game, shooting free throws. Bryce Dortch just hitting the back of the rim. Free throws really did them dirty in the end, but again, there's not really any offense on this team. Dylan Grant had double digits in the first half, didn't really do much in the second half. Jermichael Davis looked like Jermichael Davis for a change. That was very nice to see. Need that every game, though. Tariq Francis struggled. Zerno and Badalau, however you say it, continue to struggle. But yeah, they put up a good fight. There was a lot of effort shown today as compared to yesterday, where it was just guys walking around. But probably based on the competition, was probably their best game of the season, I would argue, because it's so hard to say best game because they didn't win. But in reality, the games that they did win were all pretty ugly wins. So I'd say overall wise, effort wise, they looked better. They're still bad, but they're better than what they were yesterday.
What do you think, Alec? How do you think this game went?
Yeah, kind of echoing a lot of what Richie said. There was something there that they showed today. Jermichael Davis hit 5 threes. He had a career high 21 points. He was really the go-to guy that they really get to spot up. I felt like they kind of found something offensively that could work. It was a lot of kind of like what Robbie Hummel was talking about in the TNT broadcast, a lot of horizontal stuff happening where you have someone in the middle and you just kind of shift out towards the outside and find someone on the perimeter. I felt like there was something there at least. not the first half was an abject disaster. They allowed a 22-4 run. I think I want to say they had like 7 turnovers in that span as well, which I mean, other than that, they turned the ball over 7 times the rest of the game, which is better. But yeah, I mean, I just don't know if playing like this is going to be able to win games in the Big Ten, where you're probably going to face off against better matchups and better teams in conference play. I was not very impressed with this Notre Dame team at all, despite the talent they have. I mean, Shrewsbury and Burton were really good players last year. Burton finally got to have his game against Rutgers after getting hurt last year in this very game in the opening 3 minutes. But then they also have Jalen Harrelson, who's a McDonald's All-American. I really wasn't overly impressed with this Notre Dame team. I think that was the kind of the bigger takeaway for me. But I mean, I felt like Rutgers really showed something though. They were able to be physical. They were able to defend at a higher level, especially considering. I mean, looking at some of the minutes, Bryce Dortch played 19 minutes. He played a lot of that stretch in the second half as the center in that rotation. Got a good amount of minutes from some of the younger guys as well. I mean, there was something there at least. I mean, not the first half complete disaster. I thought the second half they played well. But yeah, I would agree that last few minutes there were so many opportunities for both teams to take control of the game, and neither team was able to. Um, but they at least have some semblance of something that you can turn to offensively. Are they going to take advantage of that, and are they going to dig deeper into that? I don't know, and to be completely honest, I would lean probably no. But at least it showed that there is something there. I mean, I think I feel better about where this thing is going absolutely now compared to when Notre Dame went on that 22-4 run. But even after yesterday's game, it showed that there is at least something there. But how much is it going to be in terms of pure talent? I just don't know. I mean, Tariq Francis, Jermichael Davis, and Dylan Grant combined to score 46 of the 63 points. Other than that, they really didn't get a lot from anyone else. How much you're going to be able to rely on them on a game-to-game basis, I don't know. But yeah, it was the tale of two halves. But at the very least, they were able to show some kind of fight and resolve and really try to, take control back in this game. I mean, it seemed like they were on their way to kind of taking control back, and then Notre Dame just hit some timely shots. Every time Notre Dame tried to pull away, Rutgers was able to get back within arm's reach. And every time Rutgers started to get back within arm's reach and really tried to make it a game, Notre Dame was able to hit 1 or 2 shots. So it was just one of those weird games where you show something, but they just weren't able to really take that next step. And that's obviously very worrying when they're going to play much better teams in the Big Ten and even in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Tale of two halves for me. First half, they had 10 turnovers. Second half, they only had 4. But we just got to stop getting in these totally, I mean, I say we got to stop, but how many years now straight have we just been a team that regularly doesn't score for 5 to 7 minute stretches, or cannot get out of their own way? A lot of unforced turnovers, a lot of unforced errors. It's just offensively, they said it yesterday on the broadcast early on in the game, talking about how every possession down on the offensive end for Rutgers was like getting a root canal for them. And it was a lot of the same today. I mean, they did start off, with some clean looks. They were hitting those clean looks, but that didn't really continue and, persist throughout the game. So for as fire and brimstone as we were yesterday, I think the team did show fight today. I think they did look like a little bit more inspired basketball team, but overall, it's still not even close to good enough to win against, you got to be honest, a lower tier high major. There was no doubt that Notre Dame was the better team today.
Sorry.
No,
I wanted to say something else too on top of it. That first half was just absolutely brutal. And it's the same thing as yesterday first half. They had more turnovers than made shots. They had 0 fast break points until midway through the second, I think it was. Even when they had a fast break, there was one with Dylan Grant. He had a fast break, or maybe it wasn't Dylan Grant. No, it was Jermichael Davis. Missed a layup again. It's the offense is going to be brutal, and it's going to sell them in just about every single game this year. Even when Jermichael Davis is good, the team's offense as a whole still stinks. Tariq Francis, one of your leading scorers, 0 points in the first half, had 10 points on the game, 5 of which were from the free throw line. They still can't score. There's no one at the 2 that can score. There's no one at the 3 that can score. There's no one at the 5 that can score. The 5 had contributing between Emmanuel Ogboy, Bryce Dortch, and Javante Ware had, 3 points. And that was all from Bryce Dortch. Wait, no, 4 points. That was all from Bryce Dortch and 5 total rebounds. That's the big thing. You're going to get out rebounded every single game this year in the Big Ten.
And Byfall didn't even play again for the second straight game.
Because he, not going to curse, because he stinks. Because
Yeah,
I realized I cursed too much yesterday.
It's
I'm
very
sorry
apparent.
for that, but I was pissed off.
It's very apparent when you see him on the floor. It's just nothing's working. But yeah, there just isn't enough from outside the 3 guys to count on, especially when this is a team that's supposed to be, the Steve Pikiell branded, defense and rebounding. You're -7 on the boards. Notre Dame was getting way too many offensive rebounds in the first half. And that was a big reason why they got into that hole to begin with. So when that's not happening, when you're not getting those rebounds, you can't really rely on much else to really get back going and get back on track. I felt like they put a lot of stress on Notre Dame with their pressure in the second half. That was a solid defense, but at the same time, Notre Dame just looked completely rattled. And I'm starting to question, are we sure Micah Shrewsbury is this really, really good coach? Because they did not look prepared for it at all in the slightest. It's something that he said to the sideline reporter in the postgame as well, but they did not look prepared for a lot of what Rutgers was able to do in the slightest. And the fact that they still weren't able to overcome, Rutgers still wasn't able to overcome and get that win. Despite that, I mean, how many coaches are going to kind of have how many teams are going to collapse like that in Big Ten play? Probably not a lot, because there's a lot of really, really good coaches in this league.
Yeah, no, it's going to be I still think it's going to be a long season, but definitely feel better about the team not totally giving up today, given that they only had 1 day of prep time and rest. They won't know who their final team or their final game is against in this tournament until later tonight, I believe. And even then, you might play tomorrow. You might play on Thanksgiving. It's probably going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, I believe they're locked in for Thursday.
They're locked in for Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about
the only ones tomorrow are the championship and I think the consolation, which is like 3rd place or whatever. Micah Shrewsbury is not a good coach, by the way. He just got lucky with a Penn State team that was top 50, I think, in 3-point attempts that year, and they just ended up hitting them. And mind you, a couple NBA players on that team too. Yeah,
you had you had Lundy and Funk, and then Pickett with the booty ball. I mean, that was a well-constructed team, but yeah, they have the talent, Notre Dame does. Like I mentioned, Burton, Shrewsbury, Jalen Harrelson, who kind of took over. I mean, he's a bigger wing, obviously, so not the same player at all, but he kind of took over that, backcourt post role. And yeah, I was not very impressed at all with this Notre Dame team.
No, they'll be 500 in ACC play.
I'm going to throw the link into the chat if anyone wants to join us to discuss this game before we move on to some football. But I don't really feel like there's a ton more to discuss regarding this. I know yesterday we kind of spoke for an hour plus about the basketball team, but that was because it was such a resoundingly poor performance from the team. And I just feel like today is just kind of what we expected. What's our second half Ken rating from Cali Blues?
I guarantee you he says it in the post game. Guarantee it. And they played decent in the second half, so I can't really fault them for that one. But you got to also realize Notre Dame didn't score for the final 2 minutes of play.
Yeah.
Mind you, they didn't really get many attempts because they couldn't get the ball past half court at times. That was ridiculous.
They shot 14 of 26 at the rim today. Notre Dame did. Rutgers shot only 6 of 10, which was surprising. I thought they did have more rim attempts. So they shot. Here's the thing that really still kind of is alarming: 3 for 14 on mid-range shots. That has to change.
Can't be doing that. Yeah.
Compared to 11 for 27 from 3. That's not going to win you games in the Big Ten. A, just taking 14 mid-range shots, and B, only hitting 3 of them.
I can't stress enough how poorly constructed the roster was, though, because you went into the offseason. We heard this in summer. Harun Zerno was going to be your leading scorer. Guy can't do anything. Can't create his own shot. Can't really do much. He can hit an open 3, but for some reason wants to fade away on most of them, which is weird. And then Dennis Badalow, we heard, was also going to be your leading scorer instead of Zerno because he was the better of the two. And that was 2-3 weeks before the season starts. And he continues to struggle. Might be your best 3-point shooter, but he's missing wide open ones now. It's a different game. We got to stop thinking that these guys are going to come in and just automatically be really good, especially when they weren't really that good at in the European League. Like Zerno, obviously his league stunk. It's among the like bottom of the barrel Europeans, so he was putting up numbers there. Badalao in Italy wasn't really a player. He played for his under 18 team or whatever it was. He was decent there, and I think it was one of the World Cup or one of those events that they have for the countries. But in terms of Italy, he was a end of the bench player for them. Like he wasn't putting up anything. He played in like 5 games and was averaging like 4 or 5 points maybe. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
like that. So we got Rutro in the chat here. Bring him on stage. Rutro, how we doing today?
A little better than yesterday, but you know, I think Richie just said it really well. The roster construction is just so bad, and it's been like this for years. I mean, he has missed on so many players, and I said it back after the nice run we had in the NCAA tournament where we should have beaten Houston. Don't even get me started on that game. But like he followed that year with a bunch of garbage. Like we had like Dean Reber and Oscar Palmquist, Jalen Miller, and Antonio Chol. I mean, guys who just had no business playing in the Big Ten. And like Pike thinks he can just keep looking for these like. I think he said at the court club meeting, like, I like to look where no one else is looking. Like, well, no one else is looking because those guys suck. Like, I mean, and that's what's got to change here. Like, I know we're stuck with him probably for God only knows how long because of these bad extensions. But, like, can Kelly Zinn put some pressure on him? Because he didn't have a boss last year. So, of course, he just went back to his stupid ways of trying to do things this same way he did it originally and not realizing that the landscape has completely changed. But like, if she tells him like, look, I'm going to make your life a living hell. You have to fire a coach and bring in an offensive mind. Maybe even we can veto you on some of your talent evaluations because clearly you're not good at it. Like, does that turn up the heat enough? Does that maybe either make a change or does it turn the heat up enough to make him want to walk away and we can get off the hook for less than $20 million? Because this is not going to change without finding better talent, without attracting better talent. And he just seems like he's not going to do it. I mean, the way that the fact that whatever we spent on by fall, like we need a refund. Like we need a refund. Like the guy can't get on the court, and he couldn't get on the court at 2 teams that were good. And now he can't get on court at one of the worst Power 4 teams in the country. I mean, who's evaluating these guys? Who does it? Like, do we need an advanced scouting department? What is the solution?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you said recruiting misses. Like, I just popped it up on the screen. Like, 2020 class, of course, you hit on Maury, you hit on Mawat Mag, you missed on Reber, Jones, Palmquist. That's 3 misses right there. Jalen Miller, the only guy in 21, you missed. Derek Simpson, miss. Antoine Woolfolk, miss. Jermichael Davis, I'll give a hit. Gavin Griffiths, miss. Emmanuel Boy, miss. 2024, Bryce Dortch, miss. Grant Harper Bailey, of course, hit. Somerville, I don't really know how to categorize that one. I guess miss, technically.
Yeah, misplaced. He was a tweener that played under the rim.
Yeah, he's not playing too well at Washington either, so I guess you could say miss. But it's just miss after miss, and that's not including transfers, obviously. And he's had okay transfers here and there, but like last season, none of the transfers really worked out. The one that should have ended up breaking his foot in preseason, so that ended up really screwing you. But yeah, no, it's really piss poor recruiting evaluations. You're right. And it's not just on him, it's on his entire staff. And that's why we keep harping on the fact that he should have made a staff change by now. He has never fired an assistant coach ever since he's been at Rutgers. They've either left or that was it. Or he's promoted him and demoted him and then promoted him again.
I guess my main thing with like some of like looking at a guy like Fall, Pikiell's talked a lot about how he's brought in guys that you recruit, twice, where you recruit a guy hard out of high school, you just barely kind of miss out on him, and then you try to recruit him again. Is some of the evaluation stuff being blinded by that initial evaluation during the high school recruitment? Maybe. I mean, I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there. Buchanan's been kind of up and down. That's another guy that Rutgers really went after hard in high school and recruited a second time in the portal. I mean, he's been okay, but hasn't been like overly impressive as supposed to be one of the top transfers. So I'm just trying to figure out like where are these evaluations coming from? Where are they going so wrong?
Well, that's the thing too. Like George Washington has okay money. Like they have revenue sharing. Like they don't have nothing. They could have probably pushed to try to keep him if they wanted to. They don't care. Look at them right now. They're balling out down there in George Washington without him. Like, and that's supposed to be your best portal haul or best portal grab of the offseason. And it's just like he's not good. He's not even starting for you guys. And like Retro just said, like, they're the worst Power 4 team. Like, it's not a question. They are, according to every single rankings metric. It's brutal.
Yeah, and it's basically what we expected too.
And I mean, we could talk about the fact that it's probably an NIL issue too. And there was a tweet put out today that Rutgers had $3.5 million, which isn't true, by the way. They had $3 million in rev sharing. They had $1 million in the players era. Now, you don't have to distribute the entire players era money to the entire team. You can figure it out and be like, hey, we're going to give everyone $2,000 or something. And then we're going to use the rest of that chunk for player XYZ.
Yep.
On top of that, that's $4 million right there, right then and alone. So they're over 3.5 that was already put out there. You're going to tell me they didn't raise a single dime this entire offseason?
Didn't they have $1 million to use from the KTR match as well?
I don't know.
They had money from KTR. I know that for a fact. 6-figure money from KTR, at least. And then any individual amounts that were given as well that were outside of the collective. So, yeah, I saw that as well. And it, again, 3.5 is not what they had. They had, I wouldn't say significantly more in the sense that it was double that, but it was definitely more than 3.5.
Shout out to Superman06 for the donation. Appreciate it. No, they are not able to play him because he's not eligible academically. He's not going to be eligible academically all year. There's a reason why he is not able to. There's a reason why he's not able to play. It's not like they want to redshirt him. They literally can't afford to play, or they literally can't play him. He's not eligible by the NCAA. Could he be eligible in January? There's a case for that somehow with his academics and stuff, but there's a reason he's at Rutgers and not Ohio State. If he was ruled academically eligible in the summertime when he signed with Ohio State, he'd be at Ohio State right now. Rutgers somehow was able to get him in. I don't know how the hell they pulled that off because apparently his GPA was like toilet paper. Yeah, I try to be nice about it.
I also just don't think he's ready too, because he wasn't here for the entire summer.
Skinnier than me.
Exactly. So I just don't think he's ready to play at this point in the Big Ten. So I don't. Yeah. Do I see him? I mean, I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility that he transfers. I feel like it maybe wouldn't be the best option for him because, Rutgers is the one that's taking a chance on him. And, if he were to enter the transfer portal, who would take him at this point? I can't imagine he would get, money or high major status wise. I can't imagine many would be clamoring for him in that regard. But I mean, yeah, I don't know how much better this team would be with current Dorian Jones on the team. Now, had everything gone smoothly with Dorian Jones, he ended up committing, let's say for hypothetical, he committed to Rutgers in the first place like he was all angling up to do, and then everything went normally with him like a usual high school recruit, whatever. Could he be playing a role? I think maybe. Had he been around for the summer, maybe. But right now, I just don't think he's ready.
Yeah, I hope that answers everybody's question regarding Dorian Jones. I did see that the Rutgers Rank guys put up Steve Pikiell's post-game presser, so I'm going to switch over to that once again. And shout out to Brian, who's out there with the NewJersey.com folks and the Rutgers Rant pod. They do a great job, so go listen to them and go subscribe if you haven't already. And I know it's weird hearing that coming from another podcast, but I feel like there's plenty of room for all the Rutgers content creators out there. So since we're using their video, I want to give them a big shout out.
We like Alec, to live in harmony.
Yeah, Alec, do you want to talk about the honor that Brian helped bestow upon you?
Oh, yes. TKR now has 2 Heisman voters. I believe Brian is one of the New Jersey coordinators for the Heisman. I don't remember exactly his title. He probably knows, or he definitely knows better than I do. But yeah, he asked a few of us if we wanted to be in. Obviously, voting for the Heisman, I said I want to be in. So yeah, first Heisman vote this year. I'm excited. I've gotten a lot of suggestions on who I should vote for, so I'm very fascinated to see when the ballots do come out where my mind goes in a couple of weeks.
Just so you know, you can't bet on it.
I was not planning on it. Thankfully,
I'm just saying, Alec. I'm giving you a heads up.
All right, let's bring it over to Steve Pikiell on his post-game presser. It looks like he doesn't have any players with him today after Heron Zerner was brought with him yesterday and nobody asked him a question. So let's see what he had to say.
Knew against Kansas that, they got some real tools. Thought we grew a little bit tonight. We got to play 40 minutes. We got to figure out the backboards. But coming back from that kind of a deficit against a really good team shows you a little fight. It shows you some character. I knew coming in here, we'd learn a lot about us. This is an elite tournament, as you guys know, with really good teams, and you got to play 40 minutes, in the game. But, Coach Shrewsbury is I think he's a great coach. And Penn State days, what he did there, and what he's going to do here at Notre Dame. I mean, so much respect for how he does things, and he's on the NCAA ethics committee too. He does things the right way. And is a heck of a coach, and they, a couple of possessions better today. And again, we dug ourselves in a hole in the first half, and it's a tough way to play against a team like that with some veteran guys.
Questions?
You got a mic.
Brian?
Steve, were you more encouraged by what you saw in the second half or discouraged by what you saw in the first 6 minutes?
No, I mean, second half was, first half, the turnovers in the first half, and that really put us in a bad spot. We got to plug that hole, and then we got to plug the rebound, and it didn't help. You have both of those in the first half against a really good team that's going to take advantage of that. So, Jay Mike gets career high, plays hard. We get some awesome minutes out of Bryce Dortch and really gave us some great energy. We went with a little athleticism down the stretch. So, guys are getting their feet wet in high caliber games, and hopefully we learn from it. And, but we do have to figure out this rebounding thing. It is a problem.
Nick in the front.
Coach, it was a slow start to the first half. What was your message to the team going into the second half? They came out with that energy and with that fire.
They ended the first half, the right way, and Jay Mike gets the tip in on a Bryce Dortch steal. Gave us a little energy, but again, we're spotting teams at halftime, and our second halves have been good. It's 40 minutes. I challenged them at halftime, and we keep, talking about guys need to step up. And, I even thought down the stretch, we ran some really good plays. We executed. We just missed a couple, open looks that would have kind of made it a little bit different. But, certainly the effort in the second half is how we got to play the whole game, and we got to start understanding that.
In the back there.
Steve, you're obviously accustomed to some really good freshmen in Notre Dame this year as Jalen Harrelson. Can you talk about him a little bit and just how he might be difficult to guard?
Yeah, I mean, he's just a matchup problem, and boy, he's eager to get to the rim. Like, he's got, some size and some ability to, go downhill and attack. He's unique, and then when they surround it with guys that can shoot the basketball, that even makes it hard. But they like to get in the paint, and both guys, Burton and he, and when they get in the paint, they cause trouble and they get you in foul trouble and those kind of things. But, elite driver is what I would categorize him at, and just a hard matchup.
Coach, you talk about Jermichael Davis's career high. Seems to be all over the court, whether it's diving after balls and rebounds, steals. How much energy does he bring to this team?
I mean, he's a self-made player too. And it was good to have his buddy Ace here today to see his career high, and he's just an everyday, worker, and, he's not the most talented, but he fights, and, he had to guard, as good a guard that's, that you play, and forced him to 6 turnovers today, which isn't an easy thing. I know we had 21 points. He had to earn those too, but, Jay Mike, just does what you ask, and he's one of those kids too that, sub him in, sub him out. It's always the same. Like, he's just ready to help the team, and you never have enough of those guys.
You mentioned Ace, what's it like to have him sitting across from the bench watching this game,
Hey, I wanted to sub him in, but I started screaming rebounds, and then he wouldn't help us in that category either. Last year he drove me nuts too, rebounding the ball. But, one thing about Ace, like, as great a kid and representative of Rutgers as you could have, proud of him. He's going to have a great NBA career. His best days are by far ahead of him. But, miscoaching him was too short of a time to have him in the program, but proud of him, man. Smile all the time I see him, and he's got the great energy about him, and, watch out NBA. And he's going to do some great things.
27 threes. I think 9 of your first 11 shots were threes. Was that an emphasis, or was that just what Notre Dame was forcing you guys into?
I mean, we could shoot the ball first and foremost. I didn't think we shot the ball great too. I thought we had some good looks that we could make. It's kind of how they play. They play a backline defense, so they're in gaps. And, Micah does a great job of keeping you out of the lane and those kind of things. So, it's kind of what they give. And when we reverse the ball and run, when we were able to get stops, we were able to, get some good looks. I even think we missed a lot of good looks. So one of these days they all go in, then you look like a really good coach. But I thought we got good looks, and we're getting a little bit better in that category, making the extra pass and doing some extra things, to help our offense.
Last one here in the front.
Coach, in a game like today, it seemed like there was a lot of runs back and forth. How do you guys manage those runs on the defensive end and on an offensive end and try to stop that momentum?
Yeah, I mean, again, you try to string together as many good possessions, as you can, and with one day to prepare. It's hard. We wanted to keep them out of the lane. That was one of the big emphasis that we had. And I thought we did a pretty good job because Shrewsbury has been lighting people up, to hold them to 13 points and 3 to 6. I mean, he's been getting a lot of attempts up, so we wanted to kind of ISO, a little bit on him and give less help in his area, but then you got to give a lot of help on the penetration of Harrelson and of Burton. So hard team to guard. They've always been good offensively. They do a really good job.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you.
All right, so that's Steve Pikiell in his post-game presser. One thing that came as a lighthearted thing was Ace Bailey catching some strays there about his rebounding abilities. But what did you guys think about Steve Pikiell in the post-game presser?
Nothing
Alec,
crazy.
go first.
Oh, sorry. Go, Alec.
That's pretty much what I was going to say too. Nothing overly crazy, anything like that.
Copier.
I mean, yeah, it's normal stuff. A lot of the usual Pikiellisms that we hear. I thought it was interesting how he talked about how they've managed the runs, things like that. Thought they got good looks, all that stuff. Usual stuff to be expected.
Yeah, it's hard not to make a 7-year-old joke about managing the runs, but anything else you guys wanted to hit on basketball wise before we head over to some football?
I thought the Ace Bailey comment was kind of funny.
Yeah, no, that was actually hilarious. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell who they're going to play tomorrow yet. It's based on win-loss record. It's based on point differential. It's based on something else. There's 4 factors in play there. But I keep looking to see who's potentially going to play against Rutgers. I know San Jose State got blown out pretty bad yesterday. I think UNLV would be, or not San Jose, San Diego State. San Diego State, yeah.
I was going to say, with the state of this tournament, who the heck knows is in it these days?
Yeah, but they are locked in probably for Thursday, it seems like. UNLV, maybe. Trying to think who else.
I'd be really fascinated to see Rutgers play against San Diego State. Another defense-heavy team, although they haven't had the same levels of success they usually have. I feel like, Pikiell and Dutch are kind of similar coaches in that regard. Seeing Magoon Gwath go up against this Rutgers front court would be really fascinating. Not in a good way for Rutgers, but would be really fascinating to watch, period, just as, in terms of basketball. But, yeah, not ideal. Although UNLV, do love me some Josh Pastner, great guys, so that would be pretty fun to watch as well.
Creighton got beat pretty bad, too. I think they're 0-2 right now, right? In the tournament? Because they lost by 18 to Iowa State today. They lost by 7 yesterday to Baylor. So I don't know.
This is all just kind of underscoring the big topic at hand. Why is this not a tournament style? What are we doing here with the format? This is ridiculous. And it's changing next year. It's expanding. It's going to be like a 3-week event with 32 teams or something like that. Yeah. Just change it to a tournament. Just make brackets. Just do what Maui did. Just make brackets. It's ridiculous. We should not have to do freaking calculus to figure out who Rutgers is going to play in their next game.
I know. I also want to say, Rut Row, I think you meant to put this in the comments, technically. But he was talking about how feast week and how he didn't like the idea of playing in the tournament. But the tournament is the only reason they have $1 million to give, basically.
Yeah.
This is the reason everyone wants in this tournament. Like anyone and everyone is trying to get in next year for this 32-team tournament. Like this is the premier thing. Like Maui Invitational used to be the cool thing, used to be awesome. Everyone's like, this is amazing, this is great. This took it over like tenfold. Like even Ant Wright came out and said like he thought it was I think he accused writers of posting so much hype about it and saying they were getting paid by the festival. But in reality, he talked to NBA scouts and stuff, and he basically said, he's like, I was wrong. Like, actually, the atmosphere has been really good, despite the couple camera angles where there's like no one there. But it is such a necessity for this program, especially a program that's dire in need of NIL.
I think that might have been Curry Hicksage that said that on Twitter.
Curry Hicksage, who did I say? Ant Wright? Yeah, same person.
Ant Wright, yeah.
Not right.
We talked about Ant Wright.
Ant Wright,
his
yes.
musings of the game yesterday.
That's what it was. You're right.
We had somebody join the queue here. Kevin, we're going to need you to probably jump off and come back in because you didn't share your camera and microphone with StreamYard.
I'm not kicking you for a bad reason. I'm just going to kick him so he comes back.
Yeah. So we'll give him a second here. Otherwise, we're going to transition to some football talk because the last game of the season is upcoming, and Greg Schiano spoke at his weekly presser, but I'll let you cover this comment here.
Yeah, I do want to cover like 2 more comments real quick. This one specifically, she's not going to pay a crazy buyout. $24 million is just absolutely insane. She's not going to pay it. Might as well just get over it. Wait till next year. It's 20 mil at the end of the season. Still a lot of money, especially for, again, a program that needs money. Now go sign that equity deal real quick, and there's your 20 mil right there. But yeah, I don't see that happening. Also, I saw people talking about how they want Holloway at Rutgers. Holloway's not leaving Seton Hall for Rutgers. He's going to leave Seton Hall for a very good job, if anything, or he'll get fired because they had a really bad year last year too. So
exactly. And at the same time, like Seton Hall, while we talked about like the money that they have earlier on, it's not all that much different. They can be set up for success if they do it the right way. And it seems like coaching wise, Shaheen's done a lot of really good things this year. I mean, they beat NC State yesterday, like we talked about. So yeah, I really do not see him leaving his alma mater where he started at point guard, came back to coach for the in-state arch rival.
Yeah. But I would not say she's ruining her legacy whatsoever. If anything, she's done the complete opposite, considering she's raised, 7 figures, almost 8 figures now for football.
Yeah. At the same time, you can't really have much of a legacy if you've been here for 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a lot on her plate. That's just, I think Aaron Brightman said it a couple weeks ago. The hardest job, athletic director job in college athletics right now is probably Kelly Zinn's.
Yeah. I don't think, can't argue with that. It's not an easy place to get things done in the 21st or 2025 rather. All right. So Kevin doesn't look like you were able to rejoin. So let's pivot over some football talk here. So the Jet Elad news broke after Greg Schiano spoke to the media. So there obviously wasn't any questions about it, but there were kind of some allusions to it in the presser, which I guess you can kind of pick up on as we play it for you. But we're going to play the presser, then we'll discuss it, and then play what Larry Kay had to say about the situation from a lawyer's perspective. But here's Greg Schiano at his weekly press conference.
Hey guys, appreciate you coming out. Big week this week. Penn State coming to town on Saturday. Start off, preparation's been good, and we got to make sure that it continues to be that way. I'll open up for questions.
Penn State's been able to string together some wins on the backs of the improved running game. I guess what kind of challenges do they provide with both of their backs that can execute at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. They're excellent running backs. They're both NFL running backs, probably high draft picks. They have an exceptional offensive line as well. So it's not just that they have good running backs, and they also have good tight ends. So when you put it all together, it creates a very, very formidable run game to defend, and certainly keeping us up at night trying to figure out how to do that.
When you watch them on film, is there anything that stands out to you about what's kind of allowed them to string some wins together these last couple of weeks and kind of have an uptick after the way the first half of their season went?
Well, just sheer opportunities for those running backs. Yeah, I mean they're pumping the running backs with runs that good running backs like that are good at. You know, it's pretty simple, and they have a young quarterback who's gotten a lot better each week. You can see his development over the weeks he's played. But when you have those backs and you have a young quarterback, I think they're doing exactly what most coaches would do, and it's helping them out.
Going against the interim head coach, does it make it a little bit tougher not really knowing what he can present, whether it be play calling schemes or anything like that?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but the reality is we have games of them since he took over, and we have games of them since the quarterback took over. So, we have stuff to go on. Might they change? Sure. I mean, that's a risk any week. But, you go on what you have, you prepare on what you have, but, certainly your schemes need to be flexible enough to adjust during the game.
You overlapped with Terry Smith for a couple of years at Penn State. What do you remember him as a player, and did you see some of the signs and marks of a future coach even back then?
No, I did. His brother Harvey was actually a graduate assistant with me at Penn State. So Harvey and I shared an office, and Terry was a player then, and an exceptional player. Led the team in receptions, I think 91. And punt returner, and really just a tremendous college football player, and truly overperformed. I mean, he was not the biggest guy, and he was just a tenacious competitor, and you could see that. He was captain of our team, one of our captains. I mean, you knew that he had something special. And then I got to watch Terry coach at Gateway, where he did a tremendous job on Pittsburgh as a head coach. So none of this surprises me. Terry's an excellent football coach.
You got AJ Surace in the game at the last drive on Saturday. How important is it to get a young quarterback like that reps in the late game? And then looking back on the season, do you feel like you wish you would have got him in a little bit more?
AJ gets a lot of work. We do a lot of developmental work. Is it the same as a game? No. But we will have a chance to develop our depth, and I'm not concerned about that.
Going into this game, both teams have the same record. They're looking for a bowl. Winner gets a bowl. Obviously, the loser, the season is over. I guess, how does that factor into the messaging and the preparation for a game like this in the regular season finale?
I don't, when you have a situation like that, I think the worst thing I can do is make a big deal of it. They know. I mean, these guys are elite competitors. They know what's at stake, and I know what they want to do. And, as I always say, goals are a little overrated. My main appreciation of goals is that it forces people to create a plan. But other than that, I mean, like, the team on the other side will have the same goal we do when the game kicks off. They'd like to win and go to a bowl. We'd like to win and go to a bowl. So it's all going to be about execution. It's all going to be about the preparation that we've put in this week and what kind of execution that leads to on Saturday.
Eric O'Neill's been obviously pretty productive the last couple of weeks. Anything you've seen from him that's kind of allowed him to take this step up these last few games?
Yeah. He's probably more comfortable in what we're doing. He's probably more comfortable. We've kind of tweaked a few things that play to his strengths a little bit more, probably. And he's playing with great confidence and great energy, and he's a fun guy to coach.
Jimmy Ward, what has he meant to this program? And you've kind of seen his rise and a little bit more production this year, but certainly what he's meant off the field.
Yeah, well, he's meant a lot on the field, like you said. Timmy's got a tremendous story, right? So a lot of people like to talk about his story, but I think what's lost a little bit is he's a very good football player. He's an excellent special teams player, understands it, captains our special teams, leads our special teams, makes checks all over the place. But he's also a quality safety. He's provided depth at safety. And his story is unbelievable, overcoming, surviving cancer, being an equipment manager here, working his tail off, going through walk-on tryouts twice or three times, I don't know how many times, and then earning a spot on the team and eventually, becoming one of the leaders on this football team. Those are the stories, those are the situations that really are rewarding when you're a coach.
Final question.
I know it's game week, but it's also Thanksgiving. What do you guys do as a team? And side note, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
As a team, my thing is I want to make sure that everybody has some place to go. I don't want anybody sitting alone in their apartment on Thanksgiving. So it's whether they go to coaches' homes or they go to their teammates' homes. We have a lot of local kids on the team, so they take the guys that are from distance a little bit. Some of the parents are up for the game this weekend, so they'll go out with their folks. But my whole thing is to make sure everybody has a place. And as long as that's the case, we're enjoying that, but we're still getting ready for a game on Saturday. And there's certain things you have to do. You can't break the routine. So, I really want the players to experience it, but I also want them to stick to the routine, because routines as an athlete are critically important. So, and what was your other question?
Favorite Thanksgiving side?
Side. What's yours?
Stuffing. By far.
I like stuffing. There's not, as you can tell, there's not a lot I don't like. I kind of like food. It's one of my pastimes. So yeah, I like it all. Thanks, guys.
So it was Greg Schiano in his game week presser for Penn State. Richie tried to toss him a softball there. You didn't take the bait. I was hoping that he would give some kind of peek into his personality, but he wasn't having it.
Can't piss off the cranberry factories in New Jersey.
Yeah, maybe it's like Kelly's Inn, where he's waiting for some sponsorship opportunities to come in, so he's keeping his options open.
Just say, I like cranberry sauce. We're done. End of story. Mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. More importantly, what's your guys' favorite? Because I just answered mine pretty I was ready to go.
Oof. Mine's got to be stuffing. I mean, both my grandma on both sides of my family actually makes some really good stuffing, each of them. So gotta say stuffing.
Stuffing with cranberries or without?
Without.
Without, but I do like having some cranberry sauce on the side. My dad actually makes it from scratch. Doesn't have any of that canned nonsense. He makes it himself, and it's really good. So,
you don't like the can with like 1,000,000 grams of sugar in it?
No, thanks. I'm okay.
I would go mashed potatoes with some gravy.
It's always
can't go wrong there. I mean, there's such a high floor for all Thanksgiving foods, and I get where Greg's coming from in that sense. But everybody's got a favorite. Just put it out there.
Asked Ethan too, by the way. He tried asking us if ham was a side, and I said no, but I do love the idea of ham and turkey together. I think it's great for Thanksgiving.
I want to say he said mac and cheese. I think he said
mac
was
and
his
cheese.
favorite.
He ended up saying mac and cheese in the end. Yeah.
Good choice.
If it's baked, it has to be baked.
Yes.
The breadcrumbs.
Now, here's where you can really show your personality, which you're made of. What's your guys' favorite Thanksgiving dessert?
Oh, it's easy. Apple pie.
Nice.
It has to be a fresh apple pie. My uncle gets it from this farm up in Morristown. I forget the name of it.
Okay.
It is. Oof. He gets it for us every year. He brings 6 of them to family dinner, and it's just like, all right, you get one, you get one, you get one. That thing is gone before Thanksgiving's even over.
So how do you like it? Do you like it with the lattice on top? Do you like it with a pure, a straight piece of pastry, or do you like it with the crumble on top?
The crumble. The crumble's what makes it. That's like the perfect. I don't like the lattice that much.
Yeah.
My dad's also a big blueberry pie guy. Like, he makes that himself too. So
okay.
Same thing, crumble on top. Yeah, it's quite good, and you get some vanilla ice cream on it. Oh man!
Oh, that's always
good. You're cooking with
No,
gas.
not that French vanilla garbage.
No,
exactly.
no, never.
Exactly.
Nicholas Creamery, by the way. I don't know if you guys ever had it. Whew. Ford. It's down all over the shore. It's mostly like Tinton Falls, Middletown, like all Red Bank. I think has one. They have a deal going on right now. I'm going to promote them a little bit. 4 pints of ice cream for $30. I got 4 pints of ice cream earlier this week, and I'm not even a huge ice cream guy, but I'm probably going to go back before Thanksgiving and get 4 more. Reitman's, that's it. This guy found it. That's the farm. It's the best apple pie around.
I don't know when this started for me, but pecan pie is now my favorite Thanksgiving dessert. I don't know when it started, but it just sounds so unappetizing to the 8-year-old, only super sweet or super salty type foods. But as I've gotten older, I really like pecan pie. But let's
more importantly,
let's get back on the road here, and we're in a pit stop here. But big news came out today about one of Rutgers' starting players. Jet Elad has had his temporary injunction revoked, I believe is the correct terminology.
Overturned, I think, but same
overturned.
thing.
we asked Larry K to kind of talk us through what that means, because he is a practicing attorney. So we're going to play for you what he had to say regarding the situation, and then we can kind of discuss it further. But here is a friend of the show, Larry K, breaking down the Jet Elad situation.
So the injunction that was issued initially at the district court level was against the NCAA. And what it did was the NCAA said Elad was not eligible to play because his JUCO years counted against the 5-year limit. The district court issued an injunction which said you can't enforce your ruling, NCAA, and if you can't enforce your ruling, then he's allowed to play while this plays out. In order to issue an injunction, the court has to find that Elad has a likelihood of succeeding on the merits, i.e., he's suing the NCAA, and he's suing them because he's saying that the JUCO rule in general violates antitrust laws, i.e., he's somebody entering a labor market, and the NCAA is improperly manipulating that labor market by instituting these rules, limiting his participation, which amounts to an antitrust violation. The district court found that Elad had a likelihood of succeeding on the merits. Therefore, they granted his request for an injunction, which says, NCAA, you're not allowed to enforce your rule while the case is playing out. The NCAA did not appeal the entire case necessarily because the entire case is still being litigated. The NCAA appealed the injunction. And today, the Third Circuit found that the injunction was improper, and they vacated the injunction and remanded the case back down for further proceedings. What that means is, as of right now, the NCAA's ruling stands and Elad is not allowed to play. Now, there's an important few things to discuss technically.
He continues on.
First, theoretically, either Elad's lawyers can request another injunction, or more likely, since the case was remanded, the district court can issue another injunction, but they would have to base it on a different analysis, because here's what occurred. The Third Circuit said, we only need to decide 2 issues in this lawsuit in order to rule on just the appeal of the injunction. One, is the JUCO rule, and does the NCAA's JUCO rule implicate antitrust free market analysis? Does it trigger it? And the answer was yes. The Third Circuit said the JUCO rule definitely does trigger an antitrust analysis because there is a labor market. The NCAA athletes are participating in a labor market, and based on the rulings of the Supreme Court that we just recently saw, it's improper and against antitrust law to restrict the athletes' participation in the free market. But the second thing they had to decide was, in order to grant an injunction, you have to show a likelihood of succeeding on the merits. In order for Elad to show a likelihood of succeeding on the merits, he had to show one of the foundations for succeeding in an antitrust case is to define the market, right, with the parameters of the market and what was Elad's relationship to this market? What is this market? What are the monies that can be earned? What are the parameters? What are the common, norms of this market? It was kind of vague in the Third Circuit's order, so I apologize for me being a little vague. But the market had to be adequately defined in order to find that he would suffer irreparable harm.
He continues on.
Basically, there's a market. These are the parameters of the market. This is a well-defined market based on the following principles and knowledge. And Mr. Elad would be irreparably harmed because he has such and such worth within this market, and not allowing him to play this year would harm him to the tune of such and such dollars based on this market. And the Third Circuit says that the expert that Elad and Rutgers relied on to define the market was not proper because the expert did not conduct any specified analysis of the market as it stands today, which is ever evolving. He simply relied on a generalized analysis based on, basketball and football athletes in general from a previous case that the market had changed since then, and specific to Elad, he had to define what Elad's market was and what the market being discussed in the case was. And the Third Circuit said the expert opinion that you relied on was not adequate to define that market. And without a defined market, there's no way that you can properly analyze Elad's case to say that he has a likelihood of succeeding on the merits. Therefore, without that defined market properly figuring into your harm analysis, you can't possibly have found irreparable harm, because you couldn't possibly have found that he had a likelihood of succeeding on the merits. And I might be mixing stuff up a little bit there, that irreparable harm and succeeding on the merits are two separate prongs. But you get my drift. Basically, they're saying you didn't analyze the market well enough in order to issue an injunction against the NCAA. Therefore, it stands, and he can't. If you want to disallow him from playing, you can, until the court finds a better market analysis to hang their hat on.
All right, he's got one more here.
So essentially, what it means is JUCO eligibility rules, and maybe even the 5-year limit in general. I mean, these things they're subject to lawsuits under antitrust law, just like everything else we've seen with respect to athletes in the NCAA. Now, there's this settlement going on, which is putting some parameters in place more for NIL. But you would imagine that, there might be some more settlement things that would have to sort out eligibility, because the way that these cases are going, they're just making the NCAA a labor market. And this opens the door even further for the open labor market, but sad for Rutgers fans, while it opens up the labor market even more free, it doesn't help Rutgers out this week, because Elad's eligibility ruling by the NCAA is now allowed to go into effect. There is the possibility, like I said, of an emergent injunction based on a more defined market. But the problem is, it's kind of hard to secure a expert to lay out the particulars of that market in such a short time frame on a holiday week with Thanksgiving here. I think it's going to be tough, but stand by for any further updates. And I'll do my best to try to follow it. It's a lot of legal jargon and nuance that goes into antitrust law, it's a whole can of worms in and of itself.
All right, so we want to thank Larry for that. Rich, looks like you got something to say though.
Breaking news. So this came out about an hour and a half ago. I've been talking with Sam Elrich, the guy who broke the news on the court case and everything. He tweeted out 3:17 p.m. that Elad's attorney has already filed a motion for a new TRO, temporary restraining order. So Elad can play Saturday. The parties are currently on a conference call to discuss with the court. He just texted me 10 seconds ago. Right now, literally just happened. The court has granted the TRO, and that appears that he will be eligible for Saturday now.
Might want to put that out there now, so be the first one to get after it. That's pretty big.
Got a crazy.
Yeah. So
obviously,
okay, a long journey to
nothing.
Nothing. It sounds like, yeah.
Now,
nothing ever happens.
As for if they get a bowl game, I don't know how that's going to play out, because can they just overturn it again in like a week? Doing it before the day before the last game, or like 2 days, 3 days.
By the way, his senior day, by the way.
Yeah, it's probably like his 5th senior day. But
well, yeah, but still, this is the real senior day.
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely insane. But insert ESPN noise here. He is eligible. Yeah,
that's big.
Well, I feel we've all been educated a bit on labor law,
federal law. Yeah,
this also kind of tables the discussion we were about to have, which is how does this affect Rutgers on the field? But if he's able to play,
it doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah. So I guess that saves a little bit of discussion. But yeah, I mean, what I was going to say, if this did not end up happening, what would the consequences have been had they just played him anyways? Would the win have gotten vacated? Would they? What other punishments could there have been? Because if Greg Schiano had to choose between potentially winning a game and getting – now, I'm not saying that Jet Elad is single-handedly swinging this game either way, but if he had to choose between winning a game, getting that win vacated, whatever, and clinching a bowl, and getting that extra month or so that we've talked a lot about of bowl development, I think he would take that over following the rule and sitting Jet Elad for this game and potentially losing. That's just me.
It's just crazy to do this before his potential last game in his college career ever. Like,
yeah, the week of Thanksgiving, 1 game left in the season. Yeah, why is this ruled on now? Yeah.
I don't know. I really thought, and I know a lot of people I talked to at Rutgers have thought that even if it did get overturned, which obviously it did, but then another TRO was filed, that they really thought it didn't matter because at the end of the season, he was still going to be able to play until it got overturned. Now, overturning it 2 days before is just, again, insane, wild.
Yeah. All right, what else is there to talk to then? We obviously are going to have a full preview tomorrow for the Penn State game. That will have you guys in your feed for your drives out to wherever you're going for the holiday weekend. What haven't we touched on?
Talked about Shiano, talked about this could be 8th in Cali Man his last game. Hell of a career. I asked him, I thought it was an interesting question. I asked him if he can go back in time and talk to his freshman year self, what would his biggest piece of advice be to him?
Really interesting reaction to that one.
He was shocked. He was just like, wow, that's a great question.
I believe his exact words were, woo, or something.
That, yes, technically. Yeah. I always like to ask the seniors that because it's interesting. Because like if you can go back in time, especially a guy that's from Illinois, went to Minnesota, didn't really work out there, came to Rutgers and turned his career into a potential NFL draft pick at this point. So, I mean, I really thought he would have been like, man, I should have went to Rutgers from the get-go.
Especially nowadays, is a fascinating question to ask because these collegiate careers take so many more twists and turns than they did in the past few years with the transfer portal, NIL, all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. So very, very interesting. But there's really not a whole lot to report. It looked like today's practice was actually a walkthrough more so than anything. They didn't have pads on or anything. I don't know if you noticed that, Alec, but even on my drive in, they didn't have pads on. Okay.
I just noticed that now.
Yeah, none of them have pads on. Interestingly enough, and this is just me purely guessing and conspiracy theory me, they all were wearing black pants. Are we going to see a different uniform combo this week? I don't know, but I hope it's not like an ugly, like black helmet, red jersey, black pants. Maybe the blackout uniforms again. Let the seniors decide and what they want to wear, maybe.
Maybe.
Spitballing. I actually have a phone call that could be important, so I will be right back.
Oh boy. All right. Well, all right. Well, Richie's gone now. Yeah, I guess a lot of the discussion that we were about to have about Jet Elad kind of went out the window when Sam helped inform us about the temporary restraining order being granted. So I guess there's not really that. I don't think there's a whole lot left.
No, I don't think so either. Covered a lot today. I want to thank everybody who has stuck around for an hour for this live show. And if you're listening to it afterwards, I hope you enjoyed it, even though some of what we talked about, a lot of what we talked about ended up, being for nothing. But
interesting little nugget. Nothing to do with Rutgers, but around the college football world, according to Pete Thamel and Pete Nakos from ESPN On 3, Oklahoma State is hiring North Texas head coach Eric Morris.
That's a great hire.
According to Nakos,
that quarterback with him.
Oh yeah, Mestamaker, yeah. According to Nakos, Eric Morris was a top name in the Arkansas coaching search. That should have some what's it called? Waterfall effects across the coaching search. Oh, looks like he's back.
Yeah, moved. Oh, there we go.
Any exciting information that we should know?
No, it sounds like I beat everyone to the punch, including.
Nice.
We'll see. But yeah, it's a shout out to Sam Elridge. I need to give him a little bit of a shout out. He is very, very involved in college sports law. He's an assistant professor at Boise State, but he is on top of this shit. He's got a whole page about college sports litigation, tracking everything. And yeah, he just actually tweeted a second ago too. Judge Karishi. We got to look him up. See if he's
That's
Penn State alum.
I think that's the New Jersey judge that gave him the temporary restraining order in the first place.
Just issued an order that includes a new temporary restraining order enjoining the NCAA team from enforcing their eligibility rules against ELAD. ELAD, the translation, ELAD will, capital, be eligible to play this weekend. So, boom, baby.
All right.
Night Report podcast breaking news.
Love it. Huge news there.
Live on the pod.
Yeah, the coaching carousel is getting real weird, real fast. It sounds like there's a lot of momentum behind Terry Smith, especially if he wins against us this weekend. Like, there's a lot of momentum behind him. That would be such a disastrous hire. We were talking about like all the different interims that had the interim tag removed and made full-time head coach over the last 25 years. Not a long list of guys that it's worked out for. Also, Pat Kraft let James Franklin go when he did, primarily because he wanted to go get a big name, and now he's having all these Joe Paterno sympathizers push through. What happened?
Oklahoma State made their hire.
Yeah, we just kind of talked about that. That's how we got on this topic to begin with, because you had to take a phone call. We kind of do that already. What are your thoughts? I guess what are your thoughts on the hire?
I really thought he was going to end up at Arkansas.
Pete Nico said he was supposed to be a top name in that search.
I actually kind of really like this hire for Oklahoma State. I still think they're in like purgatory, kind of, but it's Big 12.
Regarding Arkansas, it sounds like they're a total shit show.
Yes.
Somebody, I don't know if you guys saw the same tweet, but somebody was talking about James Franklin went there and they couldn't even answer like some of the most basic questions he asked. And Virginia Tech had like every T crossed, every I dotted, every question that he had, they had a verbose answer for. So it sounds like Arkansas is just a total shit show.
Yeah. For lack of a better term. But yeah, no, they're a mess. They are a mess completely. And I don't know what they do. I really don't know who you go after. Like, I thought Rhett Lashley would have been a good one there, but I don't know.
Still could be.
Going back to the Penn State news, Terry Smith is one of the top candidates. Bob Chesney would be the other one. They tried to get Drinkowitz. He said no. They tried to get Matt Rule. Matt Rule was their top guy. Like, they thought they were getting Rule. Then he lost to Minnesota, and that was like a weird thing there. They might have to revisit Matt Rule, I saw someone say, which they're in a very, very bad spot right now. I don't know what they do. And I mean, from Rutgers' perspective, kind of got to be a little happy.
Yeah, no, it's you got to hope that they hired Terry Smith, because I can't imagine.
Yeah, he's been attracting some, I guess not undue some attention from maybe not the best faction of people lately. So we'll see how that ends up for him. Remember when Richie said that they were starting to get desperate like a month ago, and then everyone got mad at him.
Now they're desperate again.
Share my screen.
We got to do that. Why are you doing What's that meme that Taekwon Underwood posted the one time against Rutgers? Oh, it's like, hold on, I can pop that up. Found it.
That was fast.
Yeah, it's just me at my hater's funeral.
Oh yes, I do. I do remember this one.
That's a good one.
Oh my gosh,
I remember that one.
Yep, Jet Elad will play. I can probably just use that same eligible graphic, right? From when he was eligible, enrolled eligible in the summer.
Yeah, sure. Jet Elad is eligible again.
Absolutely crazy. What a sequence.
What an interesting day for Jet. Poor guy.
I know, right? All right. Well, that's all we got, guys. We'll be back tomorrow in your feeds for the Penn State preview. Obviously, we'll be back for our post-game show on Saturday. But I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has safe travels. I want to thank everybody who has liked, subscribed, followed us on social media and in your favorite podcast feed on YouTube. You guys have really helped grow the show this year, and we can't thank you enough for that. And then just before you know it, it'll be portal season. We'll have that raucous.
I can't wait, baby. It's already
crazy.
happened.
It's my favorite time of the year for college football, the portal season stuff. Yeah, we do have a bunch of guys in the portal already. We have a bunch of new follows that I've been slacking on as I worked on a different project. But yeah, that's all we got. So for me, Alec, and Richie, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.